Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling with Life. I'm your host, Patrick Ream, and I'm joined, as always, by Adam Chandler and Justin Pusser. Guys, thank you for joining me again.
Hi, Pat.
How's it going, Pat? How are you, man? How you been?
I'm good.
You been good?
I've been
That's
good.
I talked to your mom. Your mom told me that you had a magic set as a child.
I did.
And that you really liked it.
I did. Yeah, she was...
So my analysis was spot on.
Expert analysis.
Yes, I had dinner with her this past Wednesday, and she was very quick to point it out to me because she had listened to the episode. She's like, "Well, I mean, you didn't do it in high school, but
But you
I bought
are
you
a
this like
magician.
50-page like."
But you were
Wait,
born a
didn't he
magician.
say he didn't do magic at all?
Yeah, he did.
So
he
he's a
lied.
liar.
Well, I mean, if you've been following us, I think you've established already that Pat's
I'm pretty sure I said I didn't do magic in high school.
Well, the question was, did you do magic in high school? So if you said no, that would have been...
That was accurate, but my mom was very quick to be like, no, I bought you this 50-page magic book, and you like spent time learning the card tricks.
Of course,
and all
that's
the other.
exactly how I see. I sent a
None of your
picture
mom
of you
listens to the
to.
podcast.
I sent a picture of you to my buddy Doug, and I was like, "Hey, have you ever met my friend Sam?" And he was like, "I don't know if I have." And so I sent him a picture, and I was like, "Magician or not?" He's like, "That guy looks a lot like a magician."
Well, you sent him a gimmick photo. To be fair,
But to be fair, it still was a picture of you. It wasn't your face.
oh Jesus. Well, yep, wrestle tassel, maybe. I don't know.
How you been, Adam?
Good, man. Good. Just got off of last weekend. Did 2 shows. One with OTW in Medford, and then I was at PPW in Hazleton. So I had a good time at both.
Cool, man. Good to hear.
Awesome, man. You got anything coming up?
Yeah, next weekend I'm going to be at DCW in Delaware. So I'm working in a Fatal 4-Way Hoss fight with Chuck Payne, Kyle Payne, and they threw Eric Martin in there.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
All right, so it's tax season, and after last episode where you were talking about working 60-hour weeks,
Yeah.
one of my friends actually texted me and said it reminded them of my first job. So I thought it'd be interesting on this episode if we talked a little bit about our first jobs, not like our odds and ends, like our first job that we kind of work steady. So you already chatted a little bit about it. So can you just refresh everyone again?
Well, real quick, my first job, I was 14, I think, and I was a dishwasher at a local pizza place
Oh,
in
okay.
Jamesburg, and it only lasted 2 days. I sliced my finger open like the second day I was there. But like before I went into work, like I was cleaning out a razor like a 14-year-old kid and did it the wrong direction and sliced my finger. And so I called the place and I was like, "Hey, I have blood all over my hands and it's a pretty deep cut. I probably shouldn't come in and wash your dishes right now." And they fired me over the phone because I didn't come in. So I was like, "All right, well, this is work." So, when I was 18, so my grandmother died in December 2009. I was a senior in high school. I was 17, turning 18. Once I turned 18 in January, I dropped out that maybe right after, like early February. And I needed to do something with my time because not only was boredom eating me up, but like you can't do anything if you don't have money. So I went into town. Jamesburg is like they only have pizza shops, restaurants, banks, and liquor stores. That's it. Like that's the entire town. There's no real like franchises. Like, we have a Domino's, I think. Like we have no real franchises if it's not a bank. There's nothing there. It's just it's a small town. So I went to Lisco's, which is the local diner. They were open 6 a.m. to like 4 p.m. I asked the owner, Mr. Lisco, if he needed any help. And at the time, he was leaving with his wife to move to Virginia and retire. And his son, who was in like his late 30s, was taking over. And the only other staff was a guy named Nacho, who came to this country when he was 10. We called him Nacho.
Okay, I was going to say, wait.
I think his name was something that was close to that, so that was his name to us, Nacho. But he moved here when he was like, I think 12 from Mexico, and with him came his cousin who was the cook, Hugo, and Chachi was the like food prep person in the kitchen, and they were all cousins, and they all came from the same area in Mexico, and they were the 3 that worked there with Mr. Lisco's son when I applied. Only Mr. Lisco was the son. Lisco was waiting tables. That was it. Because most of the other guys except Nacho didn't speak English. So I kind of went in and was like, what do you guys need help with? And they said we could use someone who busses tables, maybe help out with tables when it gets a little crowded in here. During the week, it wouldn't get too crowded. On weekends, there'd be a couple high school kids that would help out because, like, on weekends, the place would be packed, as any diner, small town is. But I told him I would do whatever he needed. So he hired me, and I was supposed to bus and wash dishes and wait tables. And it was, 10-hour days. And the day they were closed was Wednesday. So my weekend was Tuesday night, which as a high school senior kind of sucks. So I hung out with those guys. Like, they became my friends. And we would, they would buy like beer and bring it back to the restaurant. And we would hang out, and we would go out to bars in New Brunswick. And it was kind of cool because they needed me and I needed them. Like, they didn't have a car. So, like, when they wanted a haircut, I drove them because they were my friends. And then we'd go out to the bars and they would buy beers because we were friends. And, like, that's what I did. And, later on, they had another cousin come in who was like 16, and he took over the dishwashing duties, and a kid worked his ass off. They all worked their asses off. And, like, to me, it was really a nice window into, like, accepting people for how hard they work rather than like anything else at all. Like, just what they're doing with you at that moment. If they're helping and they're being respectful, then treat them as such.
Yeah. What's the age difference like between you and them?
So I was 18 at that time. Like I said, the dishwasher was like 16. Chuchi was probably about 20, 21. Nacho was probably about 25, and Ugo was the oldest. He was probably like 29, 30. Like, they were all younger. And then, like I said, Lisco's son was probably couldn't have been older than 40. So it was a young staff.
Yeah, I was going to say, because every time I go into a diner, I feel like everyone there is kind of like, they've been around the block a couple times.
Right.
He's saying that people that work at diners are old.
Yeah, it's like, shout out to the diner waitresses that keep the country rolling. You know what I mean? Like, any mom named Cindy, Tammy,
Dorothy.
Yeah, like, they are like America does not run on Dunkin'. All right, America runs on omelets from Cindy, and that's the truth.
And refillable coffee.
Yeah, I love diners. That was something that, like, kind of wasn't great working there. They used to feed me, like, all the time. Like, the cooks would, like, come here, try this. So, like, I ballooned. The food was fantastic. Lisco's is no longer there, but, man, that was, like, I feel like maybe everyone feels that way about their, like, hometown childhood diner, but, like, I don't know where they ordered their food from. I've never had it before, like, anywhere else. It's amazing.
No, I love good diners still.
Yeah. So that was my first job, and like I said, I did a little bit of everything. They were there when because I went in February, so it was supposed to be my senior year, so it was weird. Like, I would have teachers come in on their, like, breaks, and they would eat at that diner, but, like, I should be in school, but I'm not, because you guys are all, it was an interesting,
you guys are a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, it was an interesting dynamic to live with. And then I still went to, like, my senior prom and my senior weekend and stuff because they gave me off, and I had friends who would, you can invite somebody.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I had, like, my friend Kevin, actually, he took a girl named Savannah who I was good friends with as well, and my girlfriend at the time was a junior, so, like, she couldn't invite me to senior prom because she wasn't a senior. So we couldn't go as a couple to my senior prom. So what we had to do was my buddy Kevin invited my girlfriend at the time as a junior, and then his date, who was a senior, invited me as an outside person.
Oh, that's cool.
And then when we got there, like,
really
obviously
cool.
I matched with my, girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
But, like, shout out Kevin and Savannah for making sure I got to senior prom.
That's awesome.
And, like, Lisco's let me, like, they were very cool about me, like, taking off. They helped me, actually, Mr. Lisco. I keep calling him Mr. Lisco, but he's like a 30-something-year-old man. But he helped me, like, find the Wildwood house we had. Like,
that's
down there.
sick.
Like, yeah, like, he sat with me and, like helped me call the person. Like, I learned a lot of, like, growing up there. Like, I was already pretty mature, but those things, like how to rent a house, how to, deal with driving to a city and parking without your parents, and, like, all these little things that I, like, never really did.
Well, things you don't think about either.
Yeah, like, I lived them with the people at Lisco's. They were cool people to me, and very understanding when I wanted to leave. I just, anyone's first job, you just want to move on from at some point. You can you get worn out on it, especially 60-hour weeks. And I was training for wrestling too, like at the end of me working at Lisco. So I was just, burning it at both ends. And I told them this is what I want to do. I want to wrestle. I want to wrestle in front of a couple thousand people, see what a big crowd looks like from a stage. I think that would be cool. And I have time on my side. And I know I could work hard. So
You had the ethic for sure.
I'm out. And they were cool about it. They were really, really cool about it. If Mr. Lisco ever comes across this, thank you. He did a lot.
I love how you're worried about calling him Mr. Lisco, but that's what he was to you.
Yeah, well, I think I might have called him John, but like his dad's name was also John, and he was Mr. Lisco. So like, I don't know. You guys are both John Lisco, and I call you Mr. Lisco. It's just what it is.
That's awesome. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I sympathize with the food thing because my first real job was in food too, and I definitely got well fed because of that job.
Yeah, working in food's tough too because I feel like, and it's cliche to say, but you really do learn a lot about a person with the way they handle a stranger at a restaurant. Like, to me, if you were cool to your waitress, like, you're probably at heart a good person.
Yeah.
Where, like, if you're the kind of person who says, this is wrong, as opposed to, like, excuse me, ma'am, I ordered it this way. Maybe could you just take it back? I know it's not your fault. The cook probably, it's okay. Things happen.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, there's people, like, in my life to this day that are, like, just short with waitresses, and I, like, get very, like, I'll say something to them.
Same thing, man. I get super pissed off when I'm, like, out to dinner with, like, either family or friends, and they just get a certain way with the server, and it's like, man, like, their job kind of sucks, man. Like, just be nice to them at least.
Yeah, like I really wish we could go to people's jobs sometime that do that and just like harp on them about what's going wrong or things that aren't even in their control sometimes. Like,
Absolutely.
And I didn't wait a ton of tables at that restaurant because, like, I mean, let's be honest, the owner was the person who was waiting tables, so like he was the only way he can make money was off tips because he's not actually making money off what's going into the restaurant.
Yeah.
So like, but even then, like, you could tell certain people would go out of their way to like tip me because they would see how much I was hustling, like running drinks or running food or bussing tables. And, not that money is always the end all be all, but just the even saying thanks or shooting a look of, appreciation goes a long way as opposed to a look of disgust if your drink is empty. People can read body language. There's a reason that babies react to like no words.
Yeah.
Like, it's the first language you learn is body language.
No, I agree. I know it's kind of cliche too, but there's always people that talk about everyone should have to do some sort of service job for at least a portion of their life.
Yeah.
But I actually agree with that 100%. I think it creates a good sense
Yeah, but
of
you can never
character by doing
enforce
it.
that.
No, I know. You
Look at
can't.
this guy over here with the dumb ideas. What are you going to do? Just like make people. So you're going to have people who don't want to do it. Then they're going to spit in your food because they have to do it. They're not going to get fired.
I was about to say,
It would ruin food service. I appreciate the Cindy's and Tammy's, man.
Yeah. I was about to say, I probably worked with plenty of people in the service industry that like had no business being there, and they're still awful human beings. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that completely is something everyone needs to do.
But seriously, I really wish that like there was a different way to like appreciate a good waitress or waiter. I wish there was a way that you could. I wish it was something we cared about more, because like it goes a long way. It's appreciated when someone's.
You know what
good
it
at
comes down to is manners.
Yes.
Yeah.
People just need to learn manners.
Manners.
It's not that like complicated or hard. It is for the people that don't have it. But
And it's fascinating because, like, I'm the kind of person where I know I can be really rude to people. Like, I can choose to do it. But manners are just something that's in my DNA. Like, it's not hard to say thank you.
But you just said that being rude is something that you can choose to do. I know that and anyone could say, well, anyone could choose to do it. No, because I've worked in Chick-fil-A for like 7 years, so I've seen all types of people. There are people that choose to be rude, then there are people that like, that's just their normal mode of function, and they don't see anything wrong with their behavior, and we'll get into that. Continue.
Is that your first job as Chick-fil-A? Is that like your first real job?
That's like my first real job. Like I had a job, like you said, like you had the job for 2 days.
Yeah,
I had the
yeah.
job for like 3 weeks where I only worked like 2 days a week, like washing dishes, and like then they just like let me go and then like paid me under the table.
Yeah, I a lot of under the table jobs and like small time jobs will treat you that way.
Yeah.
It's why they rotate a billion people.
Gotta keep it clean. So then what would you constitute as your first job, Adam?
So I usually just tell people Chick-fil-A was my first job. But I was there for like 7 years, so my story is like different and long, so I don't really want to get too much in detail, so I'll try to like keep it all fairly condensed.
Well, give me just like, how about your first year then? Give me how like
Yeah,
your
first year.
Tell us
Okay.
about Ramon. Ramon.
Yeah.
Also,
We're
yeah,
definitely
shout out to
gonna talk
Ramon
about
again.
Yeah, he listened actually, because I told him wasn't even aware we had one, so I was talking about the podcast, and he like texted me back. He was like, "You have a podcast?"
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people felt that way. Like, I have friends that are listening right now that like, oh, you have a podcast? Like, yeah, I guess I didn't feel like
And he said the one thing he said, he's like, I laughed so hard at Justin's comment. Like he's like, and I appreciate the kind words. So more kind words come your way, buddy.
Yeah, man, thanks. He taught me how to shotgun a beer. That's that. He's in my phone, actually. I have his number. It's Ramon Shotgun, in case I got lost that night. I had somebody to call, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Was it that night?
No, that wasn't the night I got lost, but that was the night I was scared of getting lost. The next time Ramon wasn't there, I got lost.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That makes sense. I think the night he was there, he got lost.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, did he knock himself out on the concrete? Somebody did.
Security called me. We'll leave it at that.
All right.
I was a good dad that night to all my friends. It wasn't
paid
just
it
him
back,
either,
it
'cause I
sounds
had
like.
to find Keith too. Keith got
Man.
Keith got lost. I found him like in the cafeteria.
What's Keith's brother's name?
Jesse.
He's a cool dude,
The cool
too,
one.
man.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Josh was cool too, but Jesse was the one who was like super laid back. Josh was Josh there? Man, I don't remember. I don't think Josh was there. I think it was Jesse. It was Jesse and his like 3 cop
Yeah,
friends.
I remember it being a lot of cops. I was, which like my friend Angela's a cop. Like I weirdly am friends with a lot of cops. My buddy
Yeah.
Jim, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ramon's a cool dude.
So when I started at Chick-fil-A, I was currently going to college, and I didn't have a car. I was still working on my license.
I'm sorry, you're trying to be subtle, but we could definitely still hear Justin on the other side.
It's okay. This is all part of the experience. Drink
He's
it
hanging
in.
out with us this morning.
Yeah. So I was going to college at the time for sound and recording engineering. So I wanted to be a big music producer. This is like the post Adam rapper stuff. Like this is me actually like putting a plan into action. Like it was.
Which is awesome because you found something that you like.
Yeah. It was like I'm not gonna really do the rap thing anymore, but I want to like get into producing music. So like that was my next plan of action was gonna be. If you guys haven't picked up on this by now, I just really want to be famous.
Yo, and just something like about Adam. I respect you so much more for saying that because I feel like in wrestling I meet so many people that are like, man, I love this business, and it's like, no, if you got offered a TV job tomorrow, you'd be out. Like, and that's the truth, and it's fine, but.
Oh yeah, we talked about that this week. I was like, I just want to get to TV.
And like, I respect it. You're honest.
So this is actually right after the time I get right back into wrestling. So that's a callback to episode 1. So at the time I couldn't drive, but I was applying for places in the area because I knew I needed a job. The whole deal was that I would pay for like a third of my college. So my parents, because my parents are divorced, and the deal at the time was that we were going to split it 3 ways. Now later on, I ended up paying for the whole thing myself through loans. But initially, this was the deal. So I had to get a job. So I applied at there was like a big shopping center like down the road, a bit of ways, and I got a ride to my interview where I interviewed with the owner of the Chick-fil-A in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. His name was Bob. He's a really nice older man, really straightforward, which I appreciated. I believe that there was like that he off the bat offered me like a quarter over minimum wage, which I thought was like super cool of him. Like just no problem. Like oh, this is minimum wage. This is what I'm gonna give you. Oh, cool. Thank you. And I remember Ramon was one of the first people that I saw there, and he was like, hustling around doing his Ramon thing, super busy. And at the time, Chick-fil-A only had maybe half the menu they do now, which I always appreciated, and I think that I understand the addition of items to like move with the times, but I thought what always made them special was that it was like simple and effective, and you knew what you were getting when you went there.
Yeah.
But now it's like all customized and all this other crazy stuff, which I get, whatever. So yeah, I worked there, and my friend from high school at the time, his name was Jared. He also happened to work at Chick-fil-A. Yes,
Yeah,
also known as
Awesome,
Dave.
dude. He's the show on Friday.
Yeah, Jared was there. Yeah, we're still friends to this day, which was cool because we weren't super close in high school, but we did have the same biology class, so that's kind of like where the connection was, and then we instantly like kind of clicked when I got there, because it was like, oh, like we know each other. So that was kind of like my first job experience, and sometimes I'd be able to get a ride, and sometimes I would take the bus. I'd like walk to the bus stop, take the bus. For the first year, there was a lot of crazy experiences with people, because we're coming off of in high school, like I'm just learning how to like be like a better human being when it comes to communicating with people. And at this point I got my ass handed to me, so like I no longer have this I'm a tough thug like fake exterior about me.
My friend was completely shocked when he heard that story, because when we had the old building for OTW, he would go to the shows somewhat regularly.
Yeah.
So when he heard the story about you getting your ass kicked, he's like, well, that doesn't sound right at all.
No, now I think it would be a different story, especially because of wrestling. Like, yeah, pro wrestling is, predetermined or whatever you want to call it. But being able to read someone's movements now, especially working on the fly for so many years, and then knowing how to like throw another human body, like I don't think it'd be the same case.
You're a different person for sure.
Yeah, that as well. So I mean, I made some friends. Make them, they leave. You never really talk to them again. The first year was a lot of fun. I mean, I still had that little bit of like troublemaker about me. I mean, I still do to this day. I give my boss shit all the time at my current office job. There's not too many like stories really. I mean, I met Ramon. I instantly kind of gravitated towards him as a mentor figure, but we didn't really get like down and dirty into like the mentor-student relationship until probably like after a whole year. But I was making friends, trying to fit in with, the groups of people, trying to fit in, because the managers at the time, they were really cool, and you could tell they were people that like hung out after work with each other. So it was like, man, that's like the level I would like to be on.
Yeah, you want to like hang out with the, people you're working with. You want to be involved.
And eventually it got to that point in the future. I worked really hard. I showed interest in wanting to be like a team leader, which was right underneath like assistant manager or whatever. Okay. And eventually that's something that I was able to achieve. And when I achieved it, along with that came like, some of the invites to hang out with the managers, sometimes at Ramon's apartment. Like we did like a Super Bowl party at his place once.
That's cool.
Yeah. And Ramon really is someone that took me under his wing there all along the way. And if I had frustrations with the job that I couldn't quite like relate to Bob, I would talk to Ramon, and I'd vent them to Ramon, and then Ramon was always cool. Like, man, so many people today would be quick to throw someone like under the bus, but Ramon was never the type. He always just wanted to help. That's what I appreciate about him the most. It's probably why he's part of my wedding. Like, he's a big part of my life. If Ed from OTW at the time was like the crazy endearing uncle that was teaching me about life, Ramon was my older endearing brother who's not so crazy.
Right, the yin to the yang life. In a sense.
Yeah, exactly. The yin to the yang is perfect, because Ramon was there teaching me a little bit about business, just sharing his knowledge, like life knowledge and life experiences.
And it was somebody that you like liked and respected, and I think that's like a huge part of having like a mentor in a sense, if you want to use that word, is you have to like them, because if you can see that they're successful but you don't respect the way they go about it, you'll never want to be that person.
Oh yeah, I've definitely had bosses that I would not once consider going outside of the store.
No, and like when I was first at Matt Bourne's school, like I had my down payment. I told that story on the first episode, and then after a while, like I wasn't working because I was putting so much time in being at Matt's school that I was struggling to make payments. So I offered to work at the woman's, like, it was a baseball camp, it was a summer camp for kids, it was everything, and I always worked my ass off for her. I did everything she asked, and one day when she had a sponsor in, she didn't know I was filing stuff, and she made a comment like, I'll have my real name's Jim, like, so I'm just gonna say that when I'm telling stories that predate me being Justin Pusser. But she said, I'll have Jim do it. He's my bitch. And I looked at her, I was like, see ya, and I quit. I was like, because the moment you treat somebody that way, like I have no desire to do anything for you.
Oh man, I was expecting this nice story where she was gonna say I have this great young boy. That's
no,
about
I
to
did.
take
I
me.
did so much, and then like I told Matt that day. I was like, "Yo, like whatever I have to." I was close to paying it off if I didn't already pay it off. I think I already paid it off, and I was like, "Matt, I'm not staying there working for her at all. Like I don't care what the relationship is. She's not." And he he respected. I was that way because he taught me not to let people treat me that way. But that's part of the point. It's like if I didn't have Matt, who I respected and saw how he went about his business and showed me that it's okay to quit a job if someone treats you that way. You don't need to be treated that way. I might not have. I might have just stayed and kept trying to make my little money because that's the right thing to do, quote unquote. And, But having a mentor like Ramon, who, you respect, you can kind of find a way to go about things that you like.
And which is awesome because at the same time, he was also trying to further himself. So I'm coming to him with ideas for how I can better myself. He's simultaneously trying to better himself. At the same time, we're coming up with plans for what I can say to Bob to help me get what I want. So like all of these things were great for learning just like general business and just communication when it comes to superiors, having a plan and being able to speak to someone like using logic to get an outcome. At the same time, obviously, working at Chick-fil-A, so that's a little more of the serious stuff, and that eventually, that relationship evolves into, like, I get assistant manager, and then I'm a manager, he's a GM. There's a time in our life where we were going out, like, every week on Wednesday night to the bar. Like, yeah, Ramon and I are boys, that's my dude. But to some of, like, the more fun stories, not really fun, but just so dealing with people, right? So working at Chick-fil-A, and here's the thing: when I first was looking for jobs, I was like, "Man, I don't want to work in fast food. Absolutely not."
Yeah, we all say
Yeah, I'm not working in fast food. And then
I think there's anybody that says they want to.
no, probably
I think there's
not.
like a small pocket of people who are
There
like,
has to be a
"I can't
couple
wait
people,
till
right?
Friday at
Like,
McDonald's."
Can't wait to go to Mickey D's.
Once I turn 16, man.
I love a Big Mac, and I'm the advocate of it. I will represent this Big Mac with all my heart. So then the reason why I went to Chick-fil-A is I was like, well, it's a little different from a normal fast food restaurant. No, it's the same thing.
Well, you have to be polite. Not have to be, but like it seems like you have to be polite.
Yes. So everyone likes to joke about the whole my pleasure thing. That is like something they instill in you there.
Yeah, like they
like
say
day
it like
one.
robots. Like
Robots.
my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the worst part was when you'd get the people who figured it out and were kind of in the know, and instead of like just like understanding this concept and going along with it, and wow, they're so polite, and they teach them to be so polite. What a great company. Those are the people that start going, huh, my pleasure. They make you say that? No, I just like speaking like an extra polite human being at a fast food joint for no freaking reason at all.
I wish everyone
Did you
listening
ever
could
ask
saw
them
your
if
face.
they had to talk to you that way?
It's Chick-fil-A. I gotta be super polite and just take it all.
See, man, that's
And there's occasionally times where like, hey man, you get the freedom to give a little resistance when someone's being a certain way for sure. And like the biggest thing they did there that really got on my nerves as far as like the politeness aspect goes was there was a time where they started implementing you need to get the name of the individual, and then the person who's bagging would like shout out the name, and I'm like, man, that is so awkward. Like just the whole process, especially even when I was bagging, like you just walk up to the front and go, Tim! Tim!
But the worst is like I've been in a Chick-fil-A where like not only do they do that, but they start reading out your order. You're just like, damn.
Yeah, when you have like two Amy's and you're like, Amy, Chick-fil-A sandwich, extra cheese, extra butter, extra large fry, and a large milkshake. And then I have Amy with a salad.
And then like you're looking at one fat lady and one's fit lady, and the fit lady ordered all the food.
Yeah!
The fat lady ordered the salad. Everyone's like, oh,
And I'm like
man,
just dead staring at
How do
Fat
I make
Amy.
this?
I'm dead staring at Fat Amy with like the double chicken sandwich, just like, you know you want this. And like she got the side salad. Oh, well, I'm wrong. Sorry.
you know.
Good for you. I'm glad you're making strides towards your goal.
It's fascinating.
Man, so the one story I would really want to like to tell as far as customers go, I mean, I'm sure I have a ton. But there's one lady that always consistently came in, an African-American woman, and she'd always request well-done nuggets. This is such an inconvenience to not us, but the other customers, because now we got to use a whole fryer to double fry nuggets, and you're either holding up a line or we got to walk it out to your car. But she did this nonstop, and if they weren't well done enough, she'd send them back. But she's the same type of person who would try to get like every discount possible or use multiple coupons. Like, she was that woman that would learn your name, act like we're cool, but secretly I hated her. Like, despised her. Like, to the point where one time she came in like close to 10. By the way, when we close at 10 and it's 9:45 and you decide you want to walk in and order something, man, you suck. Drive-thru's still open. That's cool. Like, I get it, but come on, man. Unless you're gonna be quick.
Yeah, you never want to be that last guy.
No, especially if the drive-thru's open. Like, that's one thing. But you know, too, from like being on the road, like sometimes it's like,
sometimes you gotta run in. But like when you're like, nope, we're gonna sit here and stay past closing.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Wow,
Like, okay, let me reword that. If you come in and like it's 9:45, 9:50.
You mean to sit down and eat?
Yeah, to sit down.
Oh, like I thought you were saying like come in, grab your food.
No. If you come and grab your food and go, sorry, let me re-say that. If you come and grab your food and go, that's equal to drive-through, whatever. Like, cool.
Yeah, like you're still open, like no big deal.
When you come in and you're like setting up shop, this lady did that once with like her 5 kids or whatever and like 2 friends. Like, it's 9:50. They come in, they set up shop, they're sitting down. We're trying to clean up and close the store so we can go home. So, like, how this works is it's 10 and we can't kick you out.
Oh yeah, that's way worse.
Yeah. Yo, she had the audacity to send one of her daughters up there to ask if they can have like any of the leftover food we were gonna throw out for free. Like, they already ordered their food and then they were like, they literally came and was just like, oh, y'all got them that like leftover chicken? Like, can we have some? Like, can you just give us a chicken?
And you said this woman ate there fairly frequently. So it wasn't like she didn't have any money.
And I'm at this point in the story, I'm pretty sure I'm manager. It's just someone asked me about it, and I look and I go, hell no. Like, this is where I get my comeback, because it's just like, you always are a pain in the butt. You're always giving everyone here a hard time, and you want me to just give you food because you know I'm going to throw it out? Nah, I'm going to throw it out and write an inventory.
And that like ties back to what you were saying before about manners, because you know we've heard about how you've offered Pat free things.
Yeah.
It's not that you wouldn't do that. It's that you wouldn't do that for somebody who doesn't treat you with that same respect.
Exactly, because there's times where we've had a couple fries left. It's 9:55. Someone's in drive-thru. Hey, here's a free fry. We're gonna get rid of it anyway. I'll just ring it up, whatever, and that creates that goodwill. But for someone like that, like, man, and I remember stuff too.
Man, it seems like she already got a lot of goodwill from you guys, actually.
The moral of the story is if you are gonna ask for free things, you might as well be polite prior to asking.
Yeah, that goes back to what I'm saying about people who just like don't even comprehend that they are rude or obnoxious or
that's their regular. They don't get it.
Yeah, they don't understand it at all.
Man, thanks, Mom. Thanks for not making me an asshole like Patrick.
Yeah, and a liar.
Yeah.
I mean, high school, but you know, it's all relative. You do magic, you do magic.
What?
I don't do magic.
Not anymore, because you weren't good at it. Why do you do anything?
I probably wasn't good at it. That's probably why I stopped.
Well, you know.
Like, can you imagine going to Universal with Pat and then getting to Harry Potter World and he just like freaks out?
I could.
He's in Harry Potter World. He buys a wand. He starts trying to do magic.
You know what? I don't.
In his gold
The part
jacket.
that makes this hard for me is just imagining being on vacation with Pat. That's the part that's hard to imagine. It's not that he would like Harry Potter.
He would like give us some crazy itinerary. We would like have to follow.
That's good stuff.
Man.
What was your first job, Pat?
Hold on real fast. I will be honest. I probably, like you said in my itinerary, like I do keep it very well scheduled.
See, it's funny. Like I would never be able to do that for myself. However, if someone comes up with one and it's like even halfway decent, I like having a schedule. Like I like knowing where how to get a lot done in a small amount of time.
It's more based on like using the Flash Pass, whatever it's called, the Fast Pass, whatever it is.
I don't know. I've never been to
okay.
Universal.
Well,
But
he's
like
talking
Disney.
about, like when they
Well,
have,
I've been to Disney. I got married in Disney.
they have those, you pay, like, assholes pay extra and then get to jump the line.
Yeah, at Six Flags you can do it.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
But in Disney, like you're scheduled for a certain time.
Well, in Disney you don't have to pay for them. You get like 3 a day for free though.
Yeah, but you can get more if you want to. So then you have to go at
people
that
do
certain
that?
time. Yeah, people do.
Oh,
It
they
used
give you
to
3
be-
free ones.
What'd you say?
They give you 3 free ones. Like you can make this work without buying.
Oh no, you can. And
Oh, so your itinerary's pointless.
I hate they changed that though, because when I went before with Ashley, like years ago before your wedding, they did it where you could show up to the ride ahead of time, like put in the time you wanted, they print out a ticket, and then you could come back to that ride later.
Oh, all right.
So that's a little more fair.
It's like a
because,
layaway spot.
Yeah, that's a little more fair because you're just like showing up, hey, there's a big line, I'll just come back later. So I don't have to just stand here and maybe I'll go check something else out. And that kind of gives you the freedom of, hey, you want to wait in line or you can like do this for yourself and it's completely free. But now it's, you get the 3 a day and then you got to pay extra.
Yo, at Chick-fil-A, do you ever have to be one of those people that like goes outside and like takes people's orders?
Man, they implemented that after I left, and every time I see it, I feel so bad. I remember they were talking about it, like in some of the training videos, it would be brought up, and I was like, man, this is a crazy thing. I hope we never do this. Because I guess they were doing it in Georgia where they're based, in some of the warmer areas.
what's the point of that?
I mean, it's got to make it go a little quicker because then get the food done quicker,
Yeah,
right?
it's to move the line.
Like you can be
along.
8th car in line and have your order in.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Because there's people walking with like a tablet down there. I have a niece, so like every time she comes to my house, we eat Chick-fil-A. So like, but sometimes my sister-in-law will be waiting like 40 minutes because these lines. Like people love Chick-fil-A.
I was about to say, I'm sure there's Chick-fil-A fans out there who are just like, man, I love that they do that, but it's just like,
Well, as a worker there though,
yeah, let's just remember these are human beings. If there's one lesson you take away from today, kids, it's treat people nice. Treat people better than you treat yourself.
Treat people the way they treat you though.
Yeah.
Like-
well, you can do that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely
don't let
that.
people walk all over you. Because Pat exists.
Just respect your local Cindy's.
He
and
says, I
Dorothy's.
sit here and let you two just make fun of me.
There we go. He's clicking now.
Yeah, whatever.
You don't get the show, do you, Pat?
No, apparently not.
Which is funny because he
just here
does
for the
all
ride
the
along.
legwork.
Yeah. Like, for as much as we make fun of Pat really does do, like, almost all the work here. Like, he doesn't bring the jokes, obviously.
Yeah, we just show up
No,
and be
that's
like
He is the
super
joke.
entertaining, and then he does everything else.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, so,
it's my part.
we do appreciate it, though.
No, sorry. So to get back to your question, my first job was at a snack bar called the Woodcrest Cafe.
Where's that at? Like, is it, like, local to where you live now?
No, it was in Cherry Hill where I was living at the time,
Okay.
and it wasn't even the close one actually, because the guy who owned it was my gym teacher from middle school.
Okay.
Shout out to Mr. O'Connell, and he owned
Nova's dad?
Mr. O'Connell.
Mr. O'Donnell or
Mr. O'Connell.
Not Nova's dad, sorry.
No, not Nova's dad. So he had one in the swim club that was about 2 minutes away from my house, and he had one in the swim club that was about 15 minutes away from my house. So of course that's the one I got the job at, not the close one. And it was
Already complaining about the nice deed Mr. O'Connell did for him. Keep going.
no, it was super cool because he had. So I got that job actually because my sister had already been working for him. So
I always forget that you have a sister.
Shout out to Pat's sister.
So I got
that's
the rub. That's twice I owe her actually for a job.
Does she listen?
She has not listened yet.
Well, that's a problem.
Well, she'll probably listen now that we're talking about
Yeah,
her.
she should. I heard she's a
She
big Adam
listen when we
Sandler
don't
fan.
talk about her.
She actually is a big Adam Chandler fan. So
I know.
is my friend Melanie. They're both super into you.
No Justin Pusser fans in your circle?
My friend Mike down in Texas is a big fan of you.
Texas?
I feel like you
Well,
just
he
made that
didn't.
up.
He doesn't live in. He didn't live in Texas at the time. He moved actually almost right before we closed the old
Oh,
building.
okay. So he's been
So
to
he's-
shows. All right.
yeah,
I
so
thought he
he's-
was just this random dude in Texas.
No. He's seen you a couple times, and he has consistently said you're the most entertaining part of this podcast so far. The first 2 episodes.
Thank you.
So
Thanks,
shout out
Mike.
to my friend Mike.
Screw you, Mike.
I kind of like him.
But my sister helped me get that job. And then when I first started at Best Buy, my sister also. The reason the GM hired me is because he sat down, looked at my resume, and went, "Are you related to Alyssa?" And I was like, "Yeah, she's my sister." He's like, "Cool, we're gonna start Tree Computers." Like that was basically my third interview.
Oh man, you could. Did you ruin the relationship?
ruin my relationship with my sister?
No, your sister's relationship with the person who hired you is what I was asking.
Oh, no. He was, I
Because,
thankfully...
like, I would never vouch for you.
No, thankfully I was a good and diligent little worker both times, so I only helped reinforce her. But my job at the snack bar was like you. I was working 60-hour weeks. I had one day off, and I did everything. I cooked, I cleaned. We didn't really wait.
How old were you?
I was 16 because it was a summer job technically. So I was 16 and then 17 or 17.
Okay, because when you say 60 hours, like it either is a summer job or you're not in school. So
Yeah, no. It was during the summer, but I consider it my first real job because I did it 2 consecutive summers in a row, and it was a lot of hours. I had one day off, so I was very, very busy, and there were many times where I was the only person there. So a lot of times it was a one-man show. So you were required to do everything, but it was attached to a swim club, which had a variety of perks. Basically, anytime we closed it down at the end of the night, if you wanted to just go spend the last couple hours that the swim club was open, you could just go out and spend it. You didn't have to pay for the membership or whatever. And I was like one of 2 males, and all the rest of the other staff he hired was like college females. Nice. So like that was cool to be around too most of the time.
Pervert.
But they were, well, the funny thing is that they were all super cool, actually.
Why is that funny?
Well, it's funny because you were assuming about why I liked them, but it ended up being that they were all really cool. Shout out to Arden.
You don't like males? You don't think males are cool?
No.
Yeah, let's backtrack this.
Yeah,
let's walk down what he said.
Instead of just like owning up, because I honestly would. Yeah,
I would too.
I was super excited to work with a bunch of hot females that were in college, and I was
Yeah.
only 16. You said, nah, they were just cool.
No, I'm not. They are.
But he also emphasized like there was only 2 males and a bunch of females, but they were cool. That's why I liked them. Well, what if it was a bunch of males and they were cool with you?
I was trying to say
Had the
there was
same
more to
reaction?
those ladies than their looks. They were all
Well, then
awesome
say
people.
that.
Okay, well, there was more to
Guys,
this.
another lesson. Words matter. They're important. We have them for a reason. Carry on.
They were all good people on top of being good looking. How about that? And again, shout out to Arden. She was very awesome. She'll probably never listen to this, but she was
Was she good looking?
very good looking, yes.
Good. I'm happy for you.
But she was like one of the real, like, not that Mr. O'Connell was hands off, but he was very like, oh, I'm kind of like, I'll give you the good stuff you guys need, and here's the money for the day, and I'll see you when the thing closes. Like, he was very
Middle school teacher probably should keep his hands off a bunch of
Yeah.
college.
And you said Arden was hands on?
I'm not falling
On
for
top of
this.
something.
I'm
I don't
not
know.
falling for this trap.
Pat, there's nothing to fall for. Just let us know. How hands on was she?
And what was she on top of?
You have to. It's your podcast.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel, Pat.
Can't just say things and then decide to just like no longer say them. Can't take the words back. The person said words matter.
This is the person who came into mine and Adam's life thinking he was gonna like be proficient at talking. You know, like, that was his role. That was his anticipated role. was to
Still
be a
the
talker.
student.
Yeah, a talker.
Still the student. Never quite the master yet.
So carry on. So cool job though. Cool girls. We get it.
She's just the one who had the shit together really well, and she was very on top of things. Not that the other girls weren't, but she was clearly like the one.
Stop being so scared to offend everybody, man. They're probably not listening.
For sure. Shit aren't listening. That's for damn sure. But just, it was like a super cool job to have because it was by a pool, and it was just like a job that like didn't really require like a terrible amount of attention. It got busy sometimes, and especially if you were alone, like that sucked because if everyone decided, oh, it's dinner time, we're all going to visit the snack bar at the same time, or I didn't pack anything for my kids this time, like it could get a little hectic. But the downtime was pretty easy. Just talk to the people from the pool, talk to the lifeguards, talk to the one manager. Mike, the manager, Mike from Woodcrest Cafe. Shout out to Mike, too. He was the coolest dude. He'd order the same 3 meals, the same 3 custom
Is that
meals.
why
all the
he's
time.
cool? Because like you immediately followed up with that. Do you think that's a cool thing?
No, it's just
Some guy who orders the same meals all the time.
he was just a cool dude. But we eventually put the 3 meals, because he ordered like very custom things. We eventually put the 3 meals on the menu as the Mike Special 1, Mike Special 2, Mike Special 3.
I'm so glad you said that. When I was in high school, I didn't bring this up, but when I was in high school, we had like a bunch of different lunch lines, and my friend Massimo was with me, and I think Doug and a bunch of my buddies. And I was getting a cheesesteak, and this woman She scooped the French fries up to put next to the cheesesteak, and she dropped some of them in the cheese. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I immediately cut her off. I was like, "Stop." Scoop the fries and put them on the sandwich.
Yes.
And she did so. And the person behind me was my buddy Massimo. And he started it. He said to the woman, "I'll have the boss." And he pointed at me. And from that moment forward, there was kids in the school who would order the boss after me. And I didn't know who they were.
That's the greatest story of all time.
Yeah, like people will vouch for the boss at Monroe Township High School. It's a cheesesteak with French fries on the cheesesteak. Yeah. That happened. So like it's similar to the mics.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was like I forgot about that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Like as you said it, I was like, oh wow, I actually have a similar
I'm
story.
gonna go to Tony Luke's later and be like, "Can I have the boss?" And just
Yo,
back
if
in.
someone knows what it is, that would be the greatest thing ever.
Oh my
It's me.
gosh, yeah.
I forgot about that. That's really good.
But unlike you two, I didn't really hang out with anyone at that job though outside of it. One of them I did because we were already friends with going into
Because
the
there's
job.
all these good-looking girls, and Pat was a 16-year-old magician.
I was gonna ask if it was because of the magic, but I'm glad we touched on it. Good.
Well, no, I was definitely out of my depth in that regard too. But it just also was I'm a high school kid. They're all out college kids. They're all going to go out drinking. And when you're 16, you shouldn't be,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
Okay.
You had like
One of
a
these-
wide open opportunity to be like one of the coolest kids ever, and you're just like, man.
One of these weeks, I'm gonna have to have my buddy Doug down, and like we've been drinking since we were 14 together.
I was 13.
Yeah, man, and we used to like it. I have so many fun stories.
I don't know if I drank alcohol till I was 18, man. To be honest,
That's cool, man. Like I didn't
13.
but I didn't go to parties. Like I didn't have friends who did parties when I was like in high school. So.
That's the weird. You would have loved hanging out with us because that's the thing about us. Me and Doug didn't go to parties either. My dad would buy us a 30, and we'd sit in one of our parents' houses and drink it,
So that's cool.
and like watch movies and stuff.
On
like,
the
yeah.
flip side, I would hang out with Keith, but like we didn't really at the time care about drinking, so it was just like let's play video games and hang out.
Oh yeah, I get that. Like we would play basketball and like do other stuff, but like by the time we got to high school, it was which girls think drinking's cool. Invite 2 of them. Let's do this.
That's sounds like a sound strategy.
Yeah, man. That's yeah.
I didn't do a lot of parties either, but I had 2 friends, Lon and Avi, and we would always get together and like play Halo and drink. Like,
See, Jamesburg was wonderful because we would have groups, like bigger groups. Like me and Doug were always the 2 that were together drinking, but like I would get games of stickball with like 10 dudes every day, pick up football games. Like we always hung out like 10, 12 of us. A couple people like had younger brothers, so like everyone was within 2 or 3 years. So like I always had big groups to hang out with, but Doug was the one I would sit and drink and do all like the crazy shit with.
Shout out to Justin's friends, man.
Yeah,
What was which trip was it where it was just me and you left, or you and I, and we ran into a bunch of your friends, and everyone like freaked out, like they were so happy to see you.
I forgot that. So we were in Atlantic City, and it was me and Adam were out. I think we were out with your was it your stepbrother's birthday? No, it wasn't that one.
No,
but it was one of the
that
times
one.
it was just us left. It might have been an OTW like Christmas type
I
party.
think it was an even smaller OTW type party.
Okay.
Because I think the other 2 people we were with ended up like
Ditching us.
passing out. Yeah.
That sounds about accurate.
so I think it might have been for that time.
All right, so
only it was the 4 of us.
So let's say it was the 4 of us that were typically together, out together again, and we ran into one of my roommates, George, at the time. I hate George. Not shout out George. He's this person who thinks he's like really, really, really nice, and he yells at his mom really loudly on the phone, and he curses at the Domino's people when they get his order wrong. But other than that, he like won't curse and like acts like he's a good person. So it's like my life mission to prove that he's a bigger piece of shit than Pat. But he's actually not a terrible person. He's just my mortal enemy.
He was at your wedding, right?
George, yeah, George. Cool. George pushed my mom down the like ramp thing at the wedding.
My
Like
wife
George is cool
loves
people.
George.
Oh, George, yeah, like that. But that's the thing is like people love George, but they don't realize that other stuff exists, and it doesn't make him better than us. That's what bothers me. Like,
That's why. Okay. I get
like
it
we
now.
just were saying before, how you need to talk to your waitresses right, but you're gonna call the guy at Domino's who answers the phone, doesn't cook the pizzas, and yell at him that your pizza's wrong. Are you kidding me? And you want to be treated as a nice person?
He's like your anti. Like
Yeah, he's like the opposite of me. Yeah, we're like I have the manners, but like I'm kind of rude to people like him, but like aggressively.
yes.
I don't even remember where I was going with this because I hate him so much. Like that's actually No, we ran into him. We ran
right.
into George.
Talk about how much Justin's friends love Justin.
So I ran into George, and he told me that like a couple of my friends were all up in like a room, like they got like 2 rooms, and they were in Atlantic City. And I was like, oh, well, we're not doing anything. Let's go up and see who's in the room and say hi, because I haven't seen people in a while. And there was a couple of my buddies, like one of my buddies, Zach, was there. Eddie Williams, who I hadn't seen. I was in kindergarten with him. I hadn't seen him in a couple of years, because wrestling can take you just away from life, like very quickly if you're doing it. And then one of my best friends growing up, still to this day, I talked to her, Kelsey, walked in the room as she was out, and me and Adam were in the room. And this is when Adam's referencing. She literally just started crying.
Shed tears of happiness.
Just bawling like, oh my God, I haven't seen... And hugged me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Also, when he says that people in Jamesburg are very, like, accepting, like, immediately, I felt.
Oh,
like
you're one of us.
Yeah, I felt like I was one of the crew. Like immediately, like no one even questioned my existence. Nothing.
You were
like,
my friend.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you're Jimmy's friend. Oh, cool, nice to meet you. Oh, you're a wrestler too. Oh, that's awesome. And like that was it.
Yep, and then like we even went to the bar in Jamesburg after a show for D2W once.
Oh yeah.
And same thing. It was like me, him, a couple other people that were on the show, and like people were buying us shots because I was there, and like people are really cool to me. And I think it's because I'm cool to them. Like I think that's what it is.
It's because you're not a shitty person.
Yeah, like I don't know. To me, you can be cut from any cloth in the world, and at some point you're going to need to have a human conversation, and I'm willing to have that with you. Like, that's really that simple to me. And I think a lot of people in Jamesburg grow up with that, like, kind of, you understand each other because there's only so many of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they like that. I forgot that happened. That was really cool, and then it was nice to see all them. I haven't seen a lot of them in a while. I only really keep in touch with so many of them because of wrestling, because it just, like I said, it took me away from everything for a while. But if I saw them today, we would probably all laugh and pick up exactly where we left off and have the same exact jokes, and that's just how it is. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't think if I stumbled into anyone who worked at the snack bar with me, they would cry when they saw me.
That doesn't shock me.
Is that the same trip where we ended the night and saw WrestleMania?
Tombstone, second match?
Tombstone, second
yes,
match.
sir.
Okay, cool.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Tombstone, the second match, will ruin it for the rest of the card, though, let me tell you that much. I'll elaborate on that on a later episode when we talk about that topic. I'm sure it'll come up.
Oh.
Down to.
Oh, well, dude, this has been entertaining as always.
We didn't get a ton of feedback on your sign-off.
No.
Which means it probably sucked.
Well, the one bit of feedback I did get is that I need to just cut to it and not give the pretext. If I hadn't given the pretext, they said it probably would have been a lot cooler.
I also did get it. Angelo, Doug both reached out and mentioned that you're definitely a magician. Angelo actually pointed out that you probably also still have Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Which I thought was fairly accurate.
No, but I might still have some of my Pokemon cards left.
It's like the same exact concept we're going with here.
I when I was younger, I collected those. And do you guys remember Raw Deal?
I don't. I was the only person that I hung out with when I was a kid that didn't have any Pokemon cards. Like, I remember being the weird kid because I didn't like Pokemon.
I had Pokemon cards, didn't know how to play the game. I had lots of Yu-Gi-Oh cards and was badass at that game.
My wife had a bunch of Pokemon cards that we took to this. There's a card in comic book store in Glassboro, right by Rowan. We got $75-$80 for all her Pokemon cards. Some of them are valuable.
I really need to do that.
Yeah, it's it's well worth it. You get some good stuff out of it.
Yeah. But Raw Deal was like a wrestling trading card game.
Oh,
so you had a wrestler would be the lead, and then you'd have 3 finishers, and then you'd have a bunch of other cards to play. And it was like this. Yeah, it was just the same concept.
It's you people who come into the wrestling business and act like you know it more than me and Adam.
It's because I played the card leader, and then I had the 3 finishers.
Yeah, remember I had 3 finishers, so how could I possibly lose? Well, because you can lose, because it's a competition.
But I know I have the Pokemon cards somewhere. I don't know where they are. I know exactly where the Raw Deal cards are still.
That's great.
But yeah, no, the feedback I got was that it was good, but that all the BS about talking about how your wife, Justin's wife, gave it to me and whatnot, made
I actually
did have unnecessary.
I did have a friend who texted me and referenced Adam as Black Adam and blamed it on Pat.
Nice.
So Pat knows him now.
Thanks.
So there you go, Pat, dividing people.
I'm not trying to divide anyone. I'm trying to bring everyone together with the stories you two have to tell. So I appreciate
New
you.
sign off this week's gonna be like, this is Patrick Green sitting with Black Cat Justin.
Just super rude. Go ahead, Pat. How are you gonna be cool?
I'm sorry. I can't be now because I just snotted.
Oh, now he can't be cool.
But ladies and gentlemen, fuck. We have a special episode coming out.
Oh yeah, please tell the people. Let them know.
So this episode will drop on its normal Friday, but the Friday afterwards, which I believe is the Friday before WrestleMania, we're going to be doing a special episode where we kind of just preview over WrestleMania. A couple you have asked already for us to talk a little bit more about what's going on in wrestling. And again, that's not really what I know.
I guess so.
I'm looking forward to it. I am, because I love having a contrarian view to most people.
Yes, I do. I think you get off to that.
I do. I really do enjoy it. So I'm like excited for this
Yeah,
conversation.
and I'm excited because I've been advocating Kofi Mania for like months now.
You have been, and I'm bought in. I'm definitely
Yeah.
bought into that.
And shout out Angelo. I'm going to WrestleMania because he bought tickets for me to go with him, and I haven't been to a wrestling show in a long time. And he
That's
always
cool.
asks me, and I always tell him no. And this year we're going. So shout out him and shout out his wife Steph. She bought the tickets for us, and we're hyped to go.
Well, that's awesome. Angelo, thank you for taking care of Justin. Appreciate that. So we'll do a little preview episode that will drop on the 5th. And then we're also going to do a little review episode shortly thereafter.
I'll give you guys a little personal account of the dumb shit I hear in the crowd, too.
Oh, that'll be fantastic. Yeah, I want that first-hand experience is going to be
I might get kicked out.
awesome.
I hope so.
Second chance.
But until then, ladies and gentlemen, you've been wrestling with life.